Alrighty, we are back and just have to make sure that everything is on the correct screen, and I think it is. So in the last stream, we started up the project, made a clone of the GitHub repo, and we went ahead and added this boilerplate. This is enough to get the plugin running in Pinegrow. So now if we want, we could load this directly into Pinegrow. And then the other thing that we did was we used npm init to create our original package.json file, and then pulled in the octokit npm. Just my monitor here. The octokit npm modules to begin adding in our GitHub functionality. So I guess what we're going to do now is just a short tutorial, but we're going to add in a menu that comes up, and maybe we'll also talk about how we're going to address authentication for GitHub. So the current way, or the way that soon will be the only way that you can authenticate in GitHub, will be through authorization tokens. So right now you can still use a username and password, but later this year that's going to be deprecated, and so we might as well future-proof our plugin by doing the correct type of authorization now. So, and I think the way that we're going to end up storing that is through an env variable. So just open up my terminal a little bit here. So if we look, we can, when you start up Pinegrow, actually it'll reset it every time. This is through just through Visual Studio Code. We could do the same thing. Could do the same thing through Pinegrow. Actually, let's do that in Pinegrow. Just start Pinegrow up here. Okay, it's already started up. Yeah. So if you look, so right now I'm just from within Pinegrow, just so people know. I went ahead and I clicked on inspect. This is the same as opening the dev tools in our Chrome browser. So that's just part of Chromium. We can switch over to just the console if we want. Go ahead and clear that out. So every time when you start up a new Pinegrow instance, it will allow you to, it'll reset the process.env variable. But you can take a look at that if you just console log it, and you can see that here's the current process env, and we can go ahead and push things to that or retrieve it back. And when we push something to it, or excuse me, when we restart Pinegrow, it'll reset that, which I think is what we're gonna want. All right. So I should say the other thing that I like to have when I'm developing my plugin is I like to also give myself a helper, rather than because I spend a lot of time looking at the console messages and looking at the back end through the dev tools. I like to go ahead and open that right up, and so let me just open a different file here really quickly. We'll just go to here. This is one of my other plugins. So usually I like to add this into my plugins. Let's close that back out. I can go ahead and save that. Now what you can see is if I go ahead and restart Pinegrow and then take a look, it automatically opens this console for me so that I can easily look at any kind of error messages that I'm getting or things like that. So I find that to be really useful to have within my plugins when I'm working on them, and then before I send them out to production, I'll either delete this or just comment that line out so that when the user loads the plugin, it doesn't automatically open that dev tools on him. Just a side note, so this nw.gui is part of the NW.js package, and then you have the Windows variable that you can send different messages to, and we might or might not use that later on. I haven't decided how we're going to pull up some of our settings for the menu. All right, the one thing that I just realized that I wanted to do before doing too many changes to the plugin was, again, I want to keep sort of a running log of changes by adding them to different branches. So basically I want to change branches right now. I'm not sure what the best way to do that is. So we're gonna go ahead and create a branch, I guess, and then we should just switch right over to that branch. Yeah. All right. So right now, tutorial 2, it's saying that we still have changes that aren't present there. You can see that we have all of our other files already there, but let's go ahead and commit this. So there's a number of bits of etiquette, I guess you'd call them, or best practices for adding to GitHub repos. Usually when you add a commit message, you want that commit message to state what merging that commit is going to do, as opposed to what you did within the or what changes you added. So in this case, the changes that we put into our plugin are going to add the DevTools opening on launch. So we'll say something like that. I'm not the greatest at making commit messages, but I try. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that's staged, and then we will go ahead and commit. And then once we've done that, we then have to synchronize the changes and create a pull request. All right. So now we can keep moving forward. So as I said at the end of last time, the one thing that we're going to want to do right now, and I just want to reformat that. What we're going to want to start doing now is adding the actual functionality. So in order, I think the way we're going to approach this is we're going to add all of our GitHub commands under a main menu. And so let's pull up really quickly. Just go over here. If we look down at the developers documentation, go to the menu section. we can already, so there's basically two types of menus. We can use on-page menu to alter existing menus. So that would be like the support menu or the page menu, something like that. But we're actually going to want to make our own menu. And so to do that, we're going to use this add plugin control to top bar. And that function takes 4 different parameters. The name of the framework, your actual menu as a jQuery object, so it's prefixed with $sign because of that. Whether or not we want it to always be shown, or if there is a function to show that, and if there is, if this is set to only display during a certain time, then you have to pass in a function for when that is going to be presented. So looking down here, there's a number of different things that we can pass in for this function. In this particular example, I'm passing in 2 different variables, or getting the value for 2 different variables, the page and the project, where the page is pinegrow.getSelectedPage and project is getCurrentProject. So I think we're going to want the GitHub launched whenever we open a project. So we don't necessarily have to have a page open, but we have to have a project open. And so basically we're just going to return true if we have a current project. So let's go ahead and add that in. So again, for any of the for anything coming out of Pinegrow itself, we are going to want to use or prefix with Pinegrow. And so let's add a quick comment first. Add the plugin control to the top bar. And then again, we named our framework, so we pass that in. Then we're going to have to go back and actually make our menu in just a second, but we'll pass that in. And we don't want it shown all the time, so for the next parameter we want to pass false. And if we pass in false, that means that we have to pass in a function. And we could use arrow structure here if we wanted, just making it simple. So again, we want to only open this if there is a project open. So and this variable could be named anything. So we're getting the current project. So this is only going to, so if there isn't a current project open, this will return back null. So now we want to just say that if we have our framework loaded, actually no, we don't want to do that. I guess we'll just check if I don't know if there's, I wonder if there's a framework check. So for pages, you can do this. So if we had defined the page as pinegrow.getSelectedPage, then we could do something like we could do something like that to say we want to test whether or not our page has framework. I don't know if that exists for the project as well. Let's give it a try. Actually, are we going to be able to do that easily? Let's comment this out. Yeah, just do it simple. Just comment that out. Let's do this. Let's say, just right here for temporary. Do that. And then say console log so we'll just test to see if that actually exists. So we're going to save that, and then we're going to go over into our Pinegrow. Just going to reload the application. That'll reload our plugin with the updated code. Okay, so cannot read property has framework of null. Because we don't have the we don't have a project open right now. Let's see if we do open a project. Is this a project? Yes. Okay, so we have to kind of a silly way to have to check this out. It probably would have been easier if I was just to load in the actual Pinegrow code and just do a quick interrogation, but I'm pig-headed sometimes. All right, let's try restarting that again. Did we? Okay, we didn't get a message this time. Now we can open our project. And unfortunately, I guess we've already fired the other thing? Yeah, we basically already have fired the other things. We've already sort of jumped past this code, so unfortunately that's not going to work. So let's just do it within the actual thing itself. So, or now let's go ahead and open up Pinegrow. Whoops. Resources, NW. Sorry about this. Okay, so I just opened up Pinegrow. And so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick search here. And so all of these are if page has framework. Maybe. CPs, usually when you're looking through, stands for current page. All the times it always asks for the current page. Well, let's try it anyway. So, getting back to our actual code here. So what we're saying here is we're getting the project. So thinking about it, we're probably going to have to make sure that we are only running this if a project is open. All right. Yeah. So if the what do I want to do here? So here I'm just checking to see if it has a framework. So I'm already checking to see if we're in a project. Then I want to check, does it have a particular framework? And then if it does, we can return true. So actually we don't need this. We can just shorten that up to a one-liner. And then otherwise we want to return false. And then I think we have to close this out here. If I'm not mistaken. So now we're adding our menu up to the top, but we need to actually format the menu now. And so I'm trying to remember. Do we have to pass in a title someplace else? No, I guess we just pass it in with the menu. Okay, so right now we're adding our plugin control to the top bar, and we're passing in a variable menu that's a jQuery. That's the code for the menu written in jQuery. So let's go ahead and go back and do that. So this is going to be, again, a jQuery. The code's going to be defined as a jQuery object, so we'll just precede it with a $. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a backtick so that I can do multiple lines of code. I don't know, I just like doing it this way, easier. So Pinegrow actually uses Bootstrap. for display of things. So we can do we can use the bootstrap drop down method to put in our menu. So actually no, not you will. Toggle, and then you put a data toggle. So this is just basic bootstrap. I don't use bootstrap that often, so I'm a little rusty, I must admit. And then let's put the menu title here in a span. GitHub. I think that's right. So not quite sure what our menu items are going to be quite yet, so I'm just going to add a couple here. Probably could use Emmett here to do this quicker, but sorry, I'm not talking through everything right at the moment. Let's put another one in here. Let's do two more. All right, that looks pretty good, I think. This. All right, so now our menu control is added. So let's go ahead and save this, and then let's check back in Pinegrow to see if it worked. Okay, so console came up, no problems reported. So let's just go ahead and open up our testing project. And I can see in the background there's an error. Type error, the project has framework is not a function. Okay, so basically we can't test for whether or not the framework has been loaded. I think that's going to be fine. Basically we just, if the user has this activated, then we'll just automatically assume they want it on every single project. So we're just going to say if the project return true, and if not, return false. So let's try that again. Do a reload. No errors. Go ahead and open up our testing. Okay, and so now we have our GitHub menu up here at the top. However, clicking on it does not result in what I thought it would. So let's take a look really quickly with the elements. What have I done wrong? Maybe it's this data toggle. I don't know if I can do this on the fly or not. Yes. Okay. So I was thinking that it should target the element below, but it's actually targeting the main element above. So now we have our different GitHub actions that we're going to want to be able to do, as well as a way to link out to our settings. All right, so as I sort of talked about earlier on, actually we can go into the thing here. If we look, and I don't know if I can pull that out yet. If we look at the console log, we can see that we have this set of different variables already pushed in there. One thing that we can do is we can say process.env dot GitHub auth. Okay, can use this. Equals whatever our access token is, for example, right? And now if we console log and check it out, now compared to up here, we now have this new one right here, GitHub auth. And if I'm correct, if we go ahead, reload the app, take a look. Now we can see that that is gone. So that's been deleted out. So I think we'll probably use that process.env to store both the username as well as the authentication token for our user, and we'll set that by the user pulling down this. Oops, I did not change that. I should go back and change that. The user pulling down and setting it from the GitHub. Let's do this. I don't know if I'm doing that right at all, but I might have to go back and look through Bootstrap and redo this later. But for right now, we're going to let it stand. So let's see. Let's make sure that that worked. Ah. I do that so often. All right, go ahead and reload. Console opened up. Testing. Messages there. Whoops. Nope, that is not correct. All right, so it worked when I changed it to drop down before, so change this back to drop down and change this to drop down. Does that work? Again, if I was smart, not pig-headed, I would pull up some Bootstrap documentation to take a look, but yes, as we've established, I'm pig-headed. Okay, so now we have that. So basically, when we click on this settings, I want to go ahead now and pull up a modal that will allow us to put in the go ahead and put those different authentication items in. I guess we're going to have to figure out what else we need potentially to add as settings, but at least those two things. I don't think that my brain is up to designing that modal right at the moment. So I think all we're going to do for right now is just go ahead and commit this menu to the tutorial 2 branch and then wrap up, at least for right now. So for commit message, we're just going to say adds menu to top bar. And then make sure those are staged. Go and commit and push. Okay, so now that should be over there. Let's check out our GitHub real quick. Just make sure that things are actually getting there. So now if we look, we have 3 branches. We have the master branch, which was the initiating branch, and then we have 2 branches, one for tutorial 1 and one for tutorial 2. And if we look, this does not have the menu. And if we go back and look at branch tutorial 2, we can see that it now does have the menu. All right, so like I said, I think I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thanks for watching. I'm not sure when I'm going to stream again. Maybe tomorrow in the afternoon. I'll have to see what opens up in my schedule. Thanks a lot for watching, and spread the word and subscribe, please. Thanks.